It belongs now to the founder president of CMA Sri Lanka and chairman of the CMA Excellence in Integrated Reporting Awards 2021 to initiate the proceedings.
So, as many know, Professor Lakshman Watawala has led the Sri Lankan accounting bodies, starting with the Chartered Accountants, then back in the year 1984 when he was president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka. He was able to move in to be part of the setting up of the South Asian Federation of Accountants, which we now refer to as SAFA for convenience. And he was a founder of the Accounting Technicians, now known as AAT, and founder of CMA Sri Lanka, and is a SAFA board member and chairman of the SAFA International Relations Committee. For his contribution to the profession, he has been recognized with the titular national honor, Sri Lanka Sikamani, bestowed by the head of state just a couple of years ago in 2019, and has also been installed in the Hall of Fame of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, and was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award by CMA Sri Lanka. And in 2020, that's 2 years ago, Professor Watawala was appointed adjunct professor by Deakin University Business School, which is in Melbourne, in Australia. So it's a much pleasure that we invite to the lectern and for some words of welcome, Professor Lakshman R. Watawala.
Good afternoon to all of you. I think it is too early for us to meet, but considering the situation in which we are with the COVID-19 pandemic and of course with our overseas speakers, we had no alternative but to start early. But let me welcome all of you. We are very happy that you've been able to be present for this. We have our very, very distinguished invitees and speakers and guests, some of them both locally and also overseas. So we have, of course, our most respected Professor Mervyn King, who is the Chair Emeritus of the International Integrated Reporting Council. He will be connecting with us online. Then we also have the President of the International Federation of Accountants, the global body for the accounting profession, who will also be connecting online. Then we also have our own President of the South Asian Federation of Accountants. This time the CMA are indeed honored by our being elected as the president of the South Asian Federation of Accountants, and we have our vice president, Mr. Hennayaka Bandara, who was installed as the president of the South Asian Federation of Accountants on the 1st of January this year. So I think it's a very great recognition for CMA and also for Sri Lanka to have the president of the South Asian Federation of Accountants, which covers the accounting bodies in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Bhutan, and Afghanistan. So we are really like the SAARC. We started before the SAARC, so we are doing very much better than the SAARC. So I am sure that CMA are indeed proud of it. Then we also have the chairman of the Colombo Stock Exchange, the President's Council, Mr. Viraj Dayaratna, and we welcome him. The CEO of the Colombo Stock Exchange, Mr. Rajiva Bandaranayaka, and of course our own members. We have our Professor Ho Yu Ki, he's the chairman of the panel of judges, again connecting from overseas, and of course Professor Graham Terry, who will be also connecting from overseas. He's the professor of the practice of University of Johannesburg in integrated reporting. And of course, we have all our very, very distinguished invitees, the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, Mr. Sanjay Bandara, who took over duties on the 1st of January 2022, their council members, our own CMA council members, our evaluators, our panel of judges. So we have a very, very great audience, and the participants. That's the most important thing, because without the participants, there would have been no event here. So let me welcome you, and to tell you a few, I think already it has been mentioned, of the CMA Excellence in Integrating Reporting Awards 2021. Before I go into that, I'll just speak a few words about CMA Sri Lanka. This was a body that was set up in 1999, and we were able to get the support of CMA Canada with the support of the Canadian High Commission, and of course our own Ministry of Trade, and the present Minister of Foreign Affairs, Professor G.L. Pires, who was a great supporter of CMA from the beginning. So I think we really had a very great support. And normally you think that when you are going to start such a project, you need lots and lots of money, because when the government starts a project, they say either they have money or they have no money, and you can see where the education is today at. But we really started without a single cent. But I must thank the Canadian government for giving us a grant. Of course, we went to Canada, where we worked with the CMA Canada, and we were able to finalize all matters and come back. Now, as you know, at that time, there was no management accounting body in Sri Lanka. I think our compeer mentioned CMA. So CMA, I think, was a foreign body. At the time that I sat the exams, it was Institute of Cost and Works Accountants. So today they have graduated, and they are now known as the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants. We are also management accountants. But if you really look at it, we started this because we have to serve the citizens of our own country. Because we are people who are born and bred in this country. Of course, we had the opportunity to sit for foreign exams, but we still have to look after our nation and our country, and all the reputed companies that are present here will realize that. Because while you are doing your business, the people who are around you, people who are helping you, are all Sri Lankans. Your customers are Sri Lankans. So we have to look at our nation and, of course, work towards their prosperity. Now, at that time, we said that one of the main things, of course, is to give the management accounting qualification at an affordable price. Now, this is something that even the government does not understand. What an affordable price is, they are talking of free price, free. They want everything free. But today, people are not wanting free, but they want, even at an affordable price, to get a good education. So this is the main, one of the major problems of this country. You have 160,000, 170,000 passing, 35,000 going to the university, and the balance have no place to go. So don't you think it is better to pay a small price for a local qualification? Because today, as a result of this policy decision of this government, there are hundreds and 200s of foreign affiliated institutes that have been set up. So really, we are in a world where we are being disgraced. In 1948, we were the best. If you look at all the countries, we had the best, not only the most intellectual people, but also the highest reserves, which we are today fighting at. So it's really rather unfortunate that after 73 years or 74 years that we are in this state, but we still have to fight for it, because we have the talent, we have the people, and I think you are the people who are there. Now let me come into this topic of integrated reporting, because this is something that today we are not having this function to celebrate the thing. We are actually doing it to show a lesson to the people of this country, what the private sector of this country has done. Integrated reporting is really on value creation. That is the joy that you will have. The respect that we have for these companies that have been doing integrated reporting. because you are showing to the people what you are doing. Earlier people were thinking that these companies are making only profit. It is not that. Today, you are showing to the society the value you are creating to the society. So I think that's a very good example that you are setting. So the government has to really think hard on it. Now if you just look at the budget, 60 to 70% of the budget is going to all the government ministries. Have you ever questioned, or has it been questioned in the government, what is the value that each of these ministries are creating for this country, the society? I don't think anyone is asking that. So that is the example that we want to tell them. Please look at us. Don't think that the private sector is another party. Private sector is the most important component in this whole country. If not for you, the exports will not be there. Today, if you want to increase the exports, you give the incentives to the private sector. They will do it for you. But the government has to give the infrastructure. Well, I am someone who has sacrificed 20 years as someone from the private sector to serving in the public sector. Today people are talking of loss-making corporations. I can tell you proudly, as a chartered accountant, as a management accountant, as a professional manager, that I have been able to make loss-making corporations to profit-making institutions. Have been able to win the gold award at the Exporters Forum or the export awards that they are giving. So these were the types of the talent, the availability of the contribution that the corporations can make to the society. Everyone is putting all the blame on the politicians, but it's really not the politicians, it is the people who are working in these organizations. If they do their job properly, they don't have to complain to the politicians. They can tell them what has to be done. This is what you have to do right. And if you do this, the country will be corrected, and then all the institutions will be able to run properly. As an accountant, I can tell you that some of these corporations are in deep trouble. The budget speech said that state-owned enterprises should be restructured. But before the restructuring, we should follow principles, standards of accounting. You see, if I manufacture something at a price, and if the government tells me, you sell it at a lower price, who is going to pay the difference? Do you have the resources to pay the difference? If it is a government institution, the government has to give it. Then it is not a loss of the organization, it is a subsidy of the government. These are simple things that people do not know. The higher authorities do not know. I don't think even the finance ministry knows that. But if they want to make organizations viable, to make them strong, to create value, then they need to look at these